welcome to the Sean Geek and
Fast Fred.
podcast. How you doing, Todd?
Not too bad. Not too
Yep.
bad. It's a Tuesday after a long weekend, so it's a little different going to work, and it's a short week, but usually those weeks are usually longer, or they seem to be.
Yeah, oh, that's for sure. Today was nuts. Today was very nuts.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I don't have a whiskey going already, but not tonight. It's a
No.
school night.
Yeah.
So this week we have guests yet again.
Hmm.
Two ladies that we met each one ages ago and most recently this year. Would you like to introduce yourselves? Who wants to go first?
Uh,
Uh, you should go.
I was gonna say you spoke first. It's all you.
Oh,
Go nuts.
You could have rock,
Fine.
paper, scissors it too, like
Funny enough, we did that at my wedding when we were trying to figure out who was going for the vows first.
oh nice.
But anyways, I'm Jenny. I'm Jenny Kong. A third of Spud Publishing. Uh, yeah, also an animator by daylight.
I guess
By
now's a good
daylight.
time to explain the poster behind you.
I mean, you haven't gone yet. I think we should follow procedure first, and then we can explain the
All
poster
the
behind
procedure.
you.
Yes, we have protocols on our show that we need to
I am Shanice Puchailo. I am one of the other third of the Spud Publishing ownership team. The other third would be our investor and silent partner he's he's the silent partner, so he did not join us. Um, yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for inviting us onto the show.
This is like a really it was a long process to do this because we had the podcast like when we first met you
Mhm.
and like I'm not good at this job. Like I suck at it. I should have said, "Hey, why don't you guys come on the show?" Just never did it. I don't know. I'm horrible at this, but this year I wanted to make a point of making it work. So I'm glad you're both here today.
I mean, in complete fairness, I think the timing worked out way better because back when we had first met at that KeyCon, I think 3 years ago, Spud Publishing wasn't even a thing. We were just a bunch of nerds getting together to do an anthology.
It was exciting though. Um both very easy to talk to. Both it was like, oh wow, okay, cool, awesome. You guys are working on this. You're actually like the thing that I came away with, you're actually working on pushing artists and writers and all sorts of creatives to just do your thing. Do your thing and be you. And I really like that it wasn't, I think you should do more of this or you should like it was more like do your thing. Your thing is you. And I really like I get really inspired by that. It really pushed me myself just talking about it. It's like, yeah, I can do my thing. I can do my thing. I'm gonna do it.
Well, because if I remember correctly, when you had told us about the podcast initially, it was just you guys kind of talking to other people about the things that they're passionate in, either what they're creating or what they're
It's
interested in. Yeah.
which we still do. Yeah, that's literally what we do all the time when we have guests. It's just to push what they're doing, get it out in the world, and scream at the top of a rooftop and tell everybody about it, sort of thing.
I mean, you guys are doing the same thing, basically, just
I
like
think
way ahead of
so.
us.
Yeah, like 3 years ahead of us, technically.
But this is cool. Like this is here it is. Oh,
Oh
like
yeah.
I'm holding
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Like so, this is so cool. Like
Good thinking having a copy ready to show because
oh
I did
yeah,
not consider that.
You're so smart.
See,
We're
we are
so good
also
at
bad
this.
at our jobs.
maybe between the four of us we can have a good go at something.
It
Heck
only takes
yes.
4 brains.
Yeah, yeah. So so when we met 3 years ago, so this was just a germ at the time. It was a germ of an idea. Like like the process of putting this together obviously wasn't easy. I can't see that being an easy thing at all. What was the impetus where you actually kind of crested and like, okay, we're doing this, let's do it, get the right people lined up. Like how did that happen?
Well, in its conception, debut was a spite project. It absolutely was the best example of I'm pretty sure we could all get together and do this, so why not? And I think when KeyCon happened, we had finally selected our team of individuals. I believe writers were then given their first draft allowance. So I think we took about 2 to 3 months for that. And then once the first draft was submitted, then we invited the artists to read the first draft and then start their mock-ups and their thumbnails and start conceptualizing what they wanted to do. And then all the writers went through a peer review workshop sequence, some of which only went through the gallows twice, some of which went about 3 or 4 times until they felt their story was ready to pass through a copy editor. And then all of the artists also got invited to work with our senior artist. That is what we changed his title to, right?
No.
No, supervising artist.
Supervising artist.
Got a chance to work with our supervising artist, and same thing, he kind of gave them pointers for their eye appeal and their composition, but as far as like their style goes, it is entirely up to the artist. Writers were allowed to comment if something didn't quite suit what they had imagined, like if a character's hair was curly instead of straight, but for the most part, artists also got to do entirely their own thing with what they were handed for inspiration. So yeah, in the short of it, that is what we did for debut.
Nothing short about that. That was that was a big thing though. Like I can't even like I've gone through the idea of like publishing my own work before, and I've been lucky enough to have some stuff published, but the whole like the whole production, like, is that, I guess, the right thing, like the whole publishing side of the production side of it, the putting the book together, getting somebody to print it, it's more work. It feels like it's more work than actually writing something, like way more work. Is that like, does it seem like?
I want to say
I
yes.
I also think it depends on your relationship with writing. One of the things I've been telling people is if you really want to get over writer's block, just open a publishing company. You'll never write again.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. What were you, Jenny? What were you going to say? Are you saying the writing process is harder than publishing?
No, no, I was saying I think the publishing process behind the scenes setup everything is probably more intensive than the creative part, but I don't write, I just draw. So that's my perspective. Can't really comment for the writers out there.
It was definitely a learning curve. I think where we kind of benefited in a big way was that we had a couple of other existing publishers hold our hands, one of which was Matt from At Bay Publishing in Winnipeg,
Oh,
has
okay.
been such a huge help in like giving us advice and kind of letting us know step by step what to expect in the
Wow.
process. Yeah.
I met Matt or I guess 2 KeyCons ago. I met Matt and had a great chat with him. He's an awesome person.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
glad he was helping you out. Like, that's phenomenal. He doesn't need to do that, but he's doing it anyway. I like that.
No, he's been such a great resource for us to talk to and like given us advice, helped us from making just silly little blunders because oh, there's the pup.
Hi.
There's the pup. Gonna take a look at the screen there. Who's
Yeah.
that?
Oh,
Who's
What's his
that?
name?
His name is Simon.
Oh, I love it.
so cute.
You can look at the camera. You don't know where the camera is, do you?
You found the mic though.
Aw. All
No,
right.
but he's gonna nose punch that mic.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna put you down, okay? Wow, that was awesome. That's smooth. What do you want? Go see mom. Go see mom. Sorry. I'm not editing any of that out. It's all staying in.
Perfect. Excellent, as it should be.
So, so I don't know. I don't think we talked about this when we met in person, but how did the two of you meet? It wasn't through
Oh,
this process, right? It was
no.
known each other for a long time, right?
That would be something Jenny facilitated, so you go nuts. This is all you.
Did I? It's a law.
It
We
was
know
it
each
was
other for a
your
long
chat
time.
room.
Right. Anyway, so there's this small site. I don't know if you know about it. It's called DeviantArt way back in the
Oh,
day.
oh yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you know about it. It's just a small little
Yeah, it's
site.
just a
Yeah.
small site. Todd, do you know of
Yeah.
DeviantArt?
I've heard it. Deviant or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deviant. I like Deviant better than Deviant.
Yeah,
Deviant?
Deviant sounds way
Deviant.
better.
That's a good
Yeah.
ring.
It's like
I
Canada.
like it.
Yes.
Sorry, Jenny, go on.
No, yeah. So I think it was when did I make that chat room?
Like
I think it was
2006?
no, I think it was 2005. So
Mhm.
I made a role playing chat room in 2005. Because I had just finished reading R.A. Salvatore's Homeland trilogy with Dritz. And
Yep.
I was like, yeah, I wanna do something like that. And then why not just open a chat room and then we can role play a whole bunch of stuff. Because the other role play chat rooms were kind of lame. And so I made Salvatore RP. And that's where I met a lot of my friends that I'm still friends with right now, including Shed. So I think she rolled in at what, 2006?
I think
I
I was
think.
also in 2005 because you were in
Okay.
Taiwan in 2006, right?
Yes, I was in Taiwan in
Yeah, yeah. So
2006.
I definitely was also in like the 2005 joining crew.
Okay, so we met in 2005 technically online. And then we didn't actually meet in person until 2009 or 2000,
Yes,
yeah,
2009.
2009. Because that was
An actual
what
person.
an actual person because I had moved to Canada for animation school at another deviant art friend that I have met in the chat room.
We
It
decided
has,
it's Deviant, remember? It's Deviant
oh
now.
sorry,
Oh,
deviant
yes.
art. So she was like, "Hey, you should come to Canada, Vancouver, and go to animation school." And I was like, "Sure, why not?" So yeah, I finished first year in animation school and then I was too poor to fly home for Christmas. And Shen's like, hey, you should come out to Dauphin, Manitoba for Christmas. And so because I was poor,
Metropolis of Dauphin.
yeah, poor, so I
Nice.
took the Greyhound bus. It was like 18 hours
Wow.
from
Wow.
you and back.
What
And that's how we
promises
met.
did she make about Dauphin to you to go to Dauphin?
I got to
None.
I got to cut my own Christmas tree.
That is true. Like it was we jokingly
Awesome.
called it Jenny's first white people country Christmas. And so I
Oh
remember
my
she like
God.
didn't let me gift wrap anything. She wanted to do it. When we got there, we took her out to pick a tree. She picked like the most Charlie Brown looking tree furthest into the ditch. We had to wade through snow up past our knees to get this
Oh,
stupid thing. We had to dig it out before we cut it. And then as we put it in the truck to take it back to the house, she looks at me and she goes, "Can we sit in the back of the truck with the tree?"
Lampoon's Christmas Vacation tree.
Yeah.
Right.
context. I grew up in a Chinese family, so we didn't have Christmas. So it was like this is a whole experience.
Oh, yeah. You got to do it up like all the way.
And
Yes.
I remember like explaining to my parents, like, "Hey mom, hey dad, so I'm gonna bring this internet friend out that you've never met. Also, she's Chinese. Be cool with it, okay?"
Because we're going to Dauphin, Manitoba.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how we met.
Wow. You couldn't have
And
waited till she was like at least in Saskatoon or something.
I mean, later on, I flew out when I had more money.
I mean, for reference, Jenny is still in still in Vancouver.
Yes.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
We
still
we have
Vancouver.
our like home base in Saskatoon for the company.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you still in Dauphin then?
I was in Dauphin this previous weekend for a camping trip, but no, I am in Saskatoon.
Okay. Okay.
I
Awesome.
am born and raised in Dauphin.
Yes. I have a Saskatoon question. Why is there so many podcasts in Saskatoon?
I don't know if I'm in the right circles to answer that, but I think it's probably because we're bored.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe that's what it is. I just that we have some friends in Saskatoon. They run a podcast out there. Actually, there's a few out there, and there's some amazing bands out there. I just reached out to a local band called Blind Commentary because
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
oh my God, they're so good. Like I listened to them and I totally fanboyed and messaged them going, "This stuff is so cool. Can I talk to you?" And then I'm like, "Oh, maybe I should have phrased that a little bit differently."
What are you?
Yeah, yeah. And then I mentioned it to our buddy Sam, who has a podcast too, and he was like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." And then he listened to the music, goes, "Okay, I understand. Totally understand." He was fanboying too.
I mean, Yes, I do agree there are a lot of local musicians in Saskatoon. I think they also benefit from having access to community-run radio stations like CFCR,
Mm.
which has also done promos for us in the past as well.
CFCR? Maybe I gotta look for this.
Yeah, their entire community run, like all their broadcasters are just community members who volunteered. And yeah, they focus on like local art, local music. They're a pretty cool station.
Yeah.
Is it like a public access type of station?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the details now. They are an FM station, but yeah, they're public access and they are, I think, non-for-profit.
Oh, even better.
Hmm.
At least FM's in stereo. Like an AM thing with a bunch of crackling in the background.
True.
But did you get the band?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even tell Todd yet. So we have to we have
Oh,
to find we have to find time to interview them. Probably next Tuesday or something.
oh, okay.
I'm excited. We get like the first exclusive peek at future
Yeah.
episodes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. It's
Just find
exciting.
out
I've
in real
actually
time.
I've never been this excited for like a band in a long time. I just heard it and like I don't know. I listen
Yeah.
to a lot of new music, but this hit harder than most things.
Yeah,
So good. Yeah, I'll send you the link. They've got a Bandcamp album out now. So anyway, sorry, we're deviating away from the topic at hand.
Yeah.
But hey, so this is how you met. So
Yeah.
you've had this long distance friendship. So have you ever collaborated before on something like a bit more specific, or just sort of like kind of sharing work with each other, or like
So, or do you want to take this one?
No, go ahead. I wanted you to
They've
go.
got that surprise look.
So when we first started talking to each other, we were in high school and as Jenny mentioned, she ran a like role play chat on Deviant Art for like play by post role playing. So we started
play by
working.
post role playing. Oh my God, that's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, we're
So old
nerds.
school.
We've been nerds for the longest time.
Yeah, that's what the whole chat room was. This is play by
The
post.
whole chat room was for all of us to do play by post.
Oh my God, I used to do that too. It was so much fun.
Oh, we still do. It's
We
a
still do
problem.
it.
What is okay? So for those of you who aren't informed, what is that exactly?
So play by post is a interactive story written by two or more people. Typically, each person controls like a contributing character or set of cast members, and then it's completely reactionary. So like,
Like off the cuff?
Yeah.
oh,
weird stuff
absolutely. It's
happens.
basically like the improv of writing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Good analogy.
So we had a role play that we'd started back when we were in high school and continued well into both of us losing our minds as university students. And then we kind of fell off as Jenny graduated and I also entered the workforce and spent about 8 years where like every so often in like every 2 to 3 years we'd send a Facebook message to update on like big significant life events to catch up. Um, and then 6 years ago,
2018. So yeah, 6 years ago.
yeah, 6 years ago, I flew out to Vancouver for the first time, called Jenny up for lunch. Um, and then 8 hours later, I caught the last Sky train back to where my hotel was for the night, and we decided to start up our roleplay again, which then we continued working on for the next 6 years.
Yeah.
So technically, we do have a big collab project. If and or when it ever gets there, it will be kind of like our magnum opus of a novel, and it is referred to as Ferrum.
If
Well,
Shen
Ferrum,
gets to
okay.
writing it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like literally thousands of pages of roleplay content, and then I'm the one who's supposed to go through and write the novel version.
Well, she doesn't want to do it right now, and her procrastination is starting Spud Pub, so that's kind of what happened.
You're totally procrastinating.
Yeah.
I know how to save this friendship. We'll start a company together.
So it's like George R. George R. Martin did with Wild Cards. It was him running a tabletop superheroes game, and him and a whole bunch of other authors. Well, the other authors were the players, and I believe he was running the game. And then what he did is he took the adventures he ran with all these authors and then turned them into books. So he always listed himself as the editor of the book, but he's the one that kind of cobbled it all together. It,
Hmm.
that'd be pretty awesome. Like, I don't know. I love that shit.
One
I'm dirty as hell.
one day it'll come out.
Yes.
There's a lot of like concept art that goes with it from, when I was like wee little person till now. It's, I think there's some improvements, but I would like to have better artists to actually do the official concepts whenever we get to that point of needing it. But there's like, she does the writing, I do the art, so there's stuff to go with it, basically.
Honestly, it's
Process.
kind of a blessing and a curse because Jenny's always cracking the whip at wanting me to write more. But whenever I need an easy gift, I just get something that's like commissioned for our story, and it goes over well every single time. It's amazing.
It's
Nice.
like a cheat code.
So, like, what last year it was, I had written a short story and commissioned an art piece to go with it, and then this year I commissioned a friend of ours to paint like a mini
I
figurine of
have
one of
it.
the characters.
Oh,
Oh
nice.
my gosh. Just look right here. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
So
Uh,
3D printed as well, or
Yeah, the
yeah.
artist ordered it, and then we went over a bunch of like concept art, and then she painted it up in like a week's time. Phenomenal.
Yeah, she did a really good job.
Mhm.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Now, with the advent of AI, both of
we're
you,
going in that territory?
as a writer, and from what I get, like I haven't really gone into the AI realm very deep, but from what I know, I mean, you can write stories with AI and just kind of give them a synopsis of what it is you want to say, and pop, there goes there goes your story. And I'm assuming illustrations, anything like also what you're doing, Jenny. I'm assuming that AI would also incorporate that into the story with its own images and visuals and stuff. Have you guys ever thought of or have tried just to see as an experiment to see how it would turn out?
No, I don't think we can ever do it. It feels
No,
like such a betrayal to the
like
craft.
AI as AI used in the concept stages, I can't say I fully disagree with, but AI to make a finished product, I can't get on board with.
Okay.
I wholeheartedly agree. I've got a big,
Like,
although one good thing came out of AI recently, a friend of our show. I don't know if you've listened to any episodes or not, but we had this whole thing about Anne Marie on our show. She was back in the 70s. She was a rival to our mom. So they were both singers in the Maritimes, and they were kind of competing singers with each other. And there was a rivalry between the two of them. Mom decided to have kids and retire, and Anne Marie kept on going, and meteoric rise and all this sort of stuff, right? I don't know if you know who Anne Marie is.
I feel like the name's familiar.
Yeah,
I do
she's
not.
a Canadian icon legend. She's in like the Hall of Fame for country, like the American country and Canadian country and the Junos. Like, just if you look her up, you'll, oh yeah, that song. Anyway, so
Snowbirds or something? Is one of them?
Snowbird, yeah, is her big,
Is she like Canadian Dolly Parton?
pretty much, yeah.
Nice.
Or
Okay, I understand
or she would say, "No, I'm better than Dolly."
that.
Incredibly arrogant, which is what drives my mom up the wall. And mom's not one to swear very often, but when Anne Marie's name comes up, that's usually when the expletives come out.
I mean, that's
So
amazing that your mom and Anne Marie were rivals. Like, that's
it,
got to
it
be a whole story.
it's pretty cool. But our mom is a way better singer, so I'm just gonna say right now. But
I
anyway, so
I do think my mom used to listen to Anne Marie now that I'm looking at the songs.
um,
So yeah, yeah, yeah.
anyway, our friend, one of our friends in Saskatoon, he's a computer programmer, like Kevin Brown, Todd.
Yeah.
The guy who's pretending to be a Brit in Saskatoon. He's not really a Brit. He says he is, and he moved to Saskatoon, but I don't believe him. But anyway, he's a computer guy and he's a musician. So he's been, because of work, he's been playing with AI because he kind of has to. So he actually wrote some very bare bone lyrics about Anne Marie and her mom and created an AI song.
Oh, the song, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one good thing came out of AI, and that's about it. But it's so filled
Yeah.
that we've never played it on the show, and I can't play it on the show. It's just I can't. Like
Fair.
even our mom heard it and was oh words my mom would never use about Anne Marie. She's used some pretty choice words. So
Okay, but you're linking it in the Discord chat, like post show,
oh yeah,
right?
sure, yeah, yeah, I can do that. Sure,
Okay,
yeah, I'll put
excellent.
it over there.
Excellent. 'Cause
Yeah.
now that you've mentioned it, like we can't just not
Yeah,
know.
right. Good point. Good point. Anyone listening to the show, if you want to hear it, just message us, and I just, but I'm always afraid that,
And
like,
Marie's going to ask you,
well, yeah, but
cease and desist.
I think we're a little bit mean, and I don't want to like come off as like some guy that's coming down on a female performer, like, like I'm very supportive of women. I just don't like Anne Marie, like, because I like my mom better.
Can I get that on a t-shirt? I'm very supportive of women. I just don't like Anne Marie.
Yeah,
That's a good idea. We should put that. You know what? We should put that in the store. I really think.
hey, find that.
But it's funny. We've gotten a few not memes, pictures sent to us from our fans with like pro my mom and anti Anne Marie. It's like my mom has more fans than we do, and she doesn't have a
That's
show.
awesome.
This
That's
is like
great.
the internet feud I didn't know we needed.
Yeah. I'm super here for this.
It'd be awesome if one day she goes, "Oh yeah, I think I remember you," because I'm sure whatever. Anyway, so yeah, let's talk about you guys.
Right. What about us?
So this Spider-Man poster behind you now.
Yes.
Oh, right. I worked on the movie as one of the animators. It's basically my career magnum opus right now because afterwards
so
I'm like, yeah,
this is for this. I
the
can't quite
first
make it.
one.
That's this. Is the first one? Okay.
Yeah, I worked on the first one. I didn't work on the second one. It was
So
too
like,
much
what
stress.
sequences were you working on, or what aspect were you working on?
Oh, I had a full minute on the show, on the movie. So the one where Peter B. Parker,
Yeah.
crash landed into Times Square and he stood up, that one was
Yeah.
mine.
Oh,
The
nice.
whole sequence of him like telling the story of how he like basically fell in shambles. So like the rundown cafe, I think he tried to open, and then like him at the computer, him and MJ breaking up, like that montage
Oh, that
sequence.
whole montage. Okay.
Yeah, like a lot of that was mine.
Oh, nice.
MJ talking at the podium was mine. Oh, the one Miles calling Peter fat was also mine.
Nice.
I have a whole reel of just like Spider-Verse stuff that I did. I'll send it over later.
Oh my
But
God,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
My
just
my
like it. No,
my
no, go
kids
ahead.
will lose their mind. They love the Spider-Verse movies like so hard.
Yeah, it was an experience and it's a really good movie. So good taste.
Was it working on a movie like that? Was it difficult? Was it was it challenge? Like, was it a good challenge, or was it like, oh my God, like I need to rest, I need to sleep, or was it grueling?
All of the above.
If
Okay.
if I might out you for a moment, that movie
Yeah,
did send Jenny to therapy.
yeah, it did.
Oh wow.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like the hardest thing I've done because it was also my first feature animation contract work. So like I've never done feature animation before. I somehow lucked into Sony. Sony's like, yeah, I'll hire you for being a part of this movie. And I didn't know how visionary they wanted it to be. And I just rolled in as this like never done this type of intensity. Not that I wasn't stressed before, but like the quality that they wanted and the vision that they wanted isn't something that I had experienced before. Like, directors will kick back shots 15, 20 times. And this is director level. This is once you've gotten past your lead, your supervisor, etc. And so that's already like many kickbacks before you even get to the director review. So then when you get kicked back and get notes, you start that process all over again. And then
Oh my God.
I think it was towards the end where they were all at the banquet that Kingpin threw, and MJ was talking to Peter, like Peter B. Parker.
Yep.
And he was talking about breadsticks. Like, there was that one reaction shot that MJ gave Peter of just like, yeah, what are you talking about? I think that was done 15, 20 times, because that was the first shot that they had seen of MJ official movie. So I had one of the earlier MJ shots, and they weren't really sure how they wanted her to look. So like,
oh yeah,
and so also us animators at Sony, there's this tool set that's in-house that you can actually do some modeling on your own to make the animation look better, because sometimes like certain frames you need to squish some things, or you need to stretch some things, or you just need to reshape some things just so that frame looks better, like in compilation with the rest. So like, they're like, oh, can you like maybe adjust her brow thickness, and then, or like her lip thickness, or like maybe widen her mouth, or like narrow her mouth a little bit. And it was more of like how she looked in the frame versus the animation itself. So it like that shot was like 12, I don't know, 36 frames, maybe a second long. And it took like a month to do. And I was like, what am I doing wrong here? Like, did I do something? Like, eventually when you're on a movie for a year and a half, and that just happens repeatedly, your morality just gets really low. So like, afterwards, it was just, I had, I think, a month and a half between Spider-Verse and Angry Birds 2, which was my next project. And I spent that whole month and a half playing Stardew Valley.
So what was the second project?
Angry Birds 2.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've seen the Angry Birds 1 and 2. I have kids.
Don't let her like humble brag her way through this. She has a laundry list of features that she's been on.
No, those are the only 2 features.
Or sorry, like a laundry list of projects, because like I think now you're in video games.
Yes. So
Todd, this is Todd's realm here. Big time.
So Sony was like, hey, we don't have any more projects for you to roll on to next. Goodbye. Which is very common in the animation industry. So it's very par for the course. And a previous studio I had worked for had reached out. They're like, hey, we need people. Do you want to come on? And I think I went back for Gears of War Tactics. And it worked out really well because I was really burnt out with Sony, and the studio was a much better work-life balance. I'm still with them. So we finished Gears of War Tactics, and then after that rolled on to Hogwarts Legacy. It's a hot topic, I understand. And then after Hogwarts Legacy, rolled on to Mortal Kombat 1, finished that, and then took a break as in like smaller projects. So I think we worked on Mario Strikers trailer.
Didn't you also do something for the Sausage Party or whatever it was?
Oh yeah, we were on loan for a little bit because we were like, we didn't have a project at the studio, so the studio loaned us out to a different studio that was doing the Sausage Party. It's on Amazon Prime now, so I did a couple shots on Sausage Party.
Todd, have you seen Sausage Party?
The show.
Oh, the show, not the movie, but the show.
Yeah, not the movie. I didn't work on the movie. It was some of my other friends, but the show. Yeah. So that was like a brief, I don't know, month or something.
Wow. Yeah, like I took a break, but I was working on my break.
like in terms of stress levels, because like on Mortal Kombat 1, I had been promoted to lead animator, so it was like juggling different tasks and a lot of brain work. So the Sausage Party, I was just animating, so I didn't have to think as much.
Well,
that's my day job.
Go ahead, Todd.
Oh no, one of the game. Finish him.
Yes.
combat.
Get over here. That's a favorite one.
Yeah.
I was gonna complain about like I had a writing assignment back in, oh my God, I think it was like 2003. I think it was from 2003 to 2006, and it was my first time writing for anything, and it was I had to put out 22 to 25 pages of content per month, and I had 20 days to write it. So my first month was 14 edits, like with my editor. And
Oh,
oh my God. So I was like, yeah, it's not as bad as what you went through.
no, that's still rough. That's still really rough.
I remember, so when I like was fresh out of university, I was a journalist, and so on a weekly basis, I definitely had that feeling of getting your writing absolutely torn apart. And one of the biggest pieces of advice my editor at the time gave me was forget everything you learned in school because every editor is going to want something different from you.
Yep. Very true.
Hmm.
Like, so, okay, so let's talk about editing for a second. 'Cause I do have some questions. So when I was working with my editor, um, some of the stuff that comes in, and I'm wondering what your both of your spins on it, because not just editing from editing from a writing perspective, but from an artistic perspective, when they're coming back saying I don't like this. So I had created everything, like I'd written everything, I created all these characters, and it was like a monthly serialized story that ran for 3 years, and then it was doing pretty good. And then my first editor, she so I had two lead characters and two kind of sub characters, and it was around about the four of them, but there was like two leads, like there were the two leads, and he started liking one of the sub characters a lot more, and she liked one of the leads a lot more. She didn't like both the leads as much. So then she's like, I can feel some friction between these two. Like, okay, sure. So let's work on that. Like, okay, we'll like work on it. No, like I like this friction. I feel romance in the air. And I think you need to take these two characters and make a relationship out of them. Now, I had already blocked the entire 36 episodes or whatever out, and I knew the ending and I knew the middle, and I had everything figured out. It was just so now all of a sudden I have to create tension between the, the male character, one of the male characters, one of the female characters, and I never intended for it. And if I let that happen, it was going to screw something up that was going to happen like in chapter 24 or whatever. And I had to work through the editor without wrecking the story I had, because I had an end, and if I changed things, the end wouldn't happen the same way. Like there was a big payout moment at the end, and if I'd have done what she had asked, it would have left everything up. How do you deal with that as a creative when you have a vision for something, you know where it's going, and they're like throwing things at you that's actually going to derail the whole story because they would like to see this versus what your vision was. You get all that?
I
That makes sense?
no, I get what you're saying. We've had more experience with that on like the short story spectrum because of course the anthology was short story. And with the workshop process, we invited all of the writers and creatives to give feedback on each piece. And there was a lot of what's the best way to put it? There was a lot of hurt feelings, not in the sense that the critiques were bad, but in the sense that this was the first kind of like critique and really big editing experience that some of the members had. And so it was that learning curve. Like learning to give critique is just as much of a learned skill as taking critique.
Sure,
Absolutely.
sure.
And so I remember talking to a lot of the writers and a lot of them being like, well, I don't agree with this critique, but it's been made by multiple people. And it's like, well, okay, if it's been made by multiple people, now you really have to sit with it and consider, even if what they suggest isn't the direction you want to go, what changes could you think to make it come off better and things like that.
Yeah.
That being said, and it's something I'm also struggling with as I get back seriously into my own writing, like you really have to decide whether you're going to kill your darlings or stand up for them. And
Hmm.
it boils down to like who's giving you the critique, how qualified are they, not even just in writing, but in the genre you're trying to do, and how much does the integrity of your finale and your blocking out of the story matter to you versus the critique? So I don't think there's an easy answer for that. I think it is very subjective and case by case.
Annie, what's your 2 cents?
I sorry, I agree, and the slightly different perspective is that drawing and blocking out a shot is much quicker than blocking out writing. So, I've redone shots like a million times, obviously because directors and creatives above me want that. And I've redrawn things a million times because my instructor would have been like, oh, well, this looks better and because of this reason. And so to Chen's point of like, depending on who's giving you that, it takes more, you can probably trust it a little bit more, but also a lot of it comes down to character. Like, is this true to your character? Like, is it true to the story arc? Is this the thing that you want to present? Because a lot of times when I get notes, it's like, well, the character and motivation isn't quite right, or like, we have to cut this shot, or we need to add this shot because the story is feeling quite okay. And so I think the great side, the positive side is you're the one with the story, right? You theoretically would understand your characters the most and know who they are as people. And I think if your editor is like saying to do this, but it doesn't actually fit who those people are that you created, then that's something that I think can be a starting point to whether or not you stand up for them or to experiment with the editor's opinion. So still very subjective, but like, know your characters, I guess.
Well, and I feel like the other caveat is if it's work for hire, because if it's work for hire, then I'm sorry, you threw your opinion out the door. You have to do what your editor tells you.
Oh no, absolutely. It was it was a kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity. I knew
What
somebody who knew somebody sort of
what was
thing.
the gig? Like, what were the
So
details around it?
so it was a gaming magazine, and what they were doing is they wanted to have a focus on they had a focus on like just kind of sword and sorcery sort of stuff, and they wanted to expand the magazine out and have stories within it. So it was ICE Publishing who does Rule Master,
Oh yeah, yeah, I've heard of them.
right? So they had their own monthly magazine, and then what they would do is they would start like instead of just talking about rules all day long and having articles about the rules, they wanted to have some stories, some original stories in there. And they wanted to, instead of doing sword and sorcery, they wanted to touch on other aspects. So mine was more of like a more comic book sort of thing. And they're like, oh yeah, somebody who can write comic book stories, and bring this guy in, and he write his stuff. And the head of the magazine said, look, I want you to write your story, and I want you to write anyone else's story. We're not super familiar with this kind of stuff. Write your thing. And the only caveat he had was he wanted it to be written in script format, like a comic script format. He didn't want it in long form.
Hmm.
He wanted it comic script format. He said, because we have some illustrators that might come on and draw some of the images based on what you had. So anyway, so he wanted me to write my story, but when I get assigned an editor, she fell in love with the one character, and she fell in love with the other character, and they have to get together. But what I didn't, but they never knew what the end of the story was. And then the two main characters were two male characters, and they liked each other. And that's what I was hinting towards. But that went over her head, and she just saw, well, there's a male character and a female character, and they're both attractive, and they should be together. And I was like, no, like I want this bromance, whatever, whatever. I don't know what to categorize it exactly, but it was his own thing, and I felt that you didn't see that in stories back then. You didn't see that in stories enough. It was always,
Hmm.
well, if there's a female and a male, then obviously they're a couple. Like, and I didn't want to go down that road. Like, these two guys are the couple.
Hmm.
That's what I wanted. And in the end, um, all the editing went to the owner, and he said,
Oh,
and he just let me do whatever I wanted, and he was like, and he was a fan, so he was like, every month he's like, "Are you done yet?" No, I'm working on it. No, I just want to know what's going to happen next. Like, that's what it was. It was super fun.
Hmm.
Okay, but did you stick to your guns?
I allowed there to be tension, like, sexual tension or whatever between the two
Yeah.
of them. And I let that kind of show like, oh, maybe there's something there, but it never got past that
Hmm.
because he had his
No,
eyes on somebody else.
I'm glad you stuck to your guns.
Yeah. It was much more satisfying in the end, I feel, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm always like, because I know our long-term plan is to break into novels, and I'm always like worried if I ever disagree content-wise with something a writer is pitched. I'm like, oh man, how am I going to handle that being in the other side of that hot seat?
Yeah, it's
It
hard.
it it's tough. Like I've written like I'm still in the same novel I've been talking to Chen about. I'm on my 10th edit now. I've had a professional edit done already. And when I went through the professional edit, like a lot of my favorite parts were like, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, and this doesn't work. But these three things work or whatever. He picked out a bunch of things that he liked. And I'm like, oh yeah, that stuff is good, I guess. It was stuff I didn't think was any good. And he's like, no, I really like this. Like, really? Like, yeah, no, like, and then I read back the parts he liked, and I'm like, shit, like that is the better stuff. So then my ninth edit was eliminating like 6 or 7 sub characters, just pulled them out of the plot and focused on the things he said really, really worked. So that's where I'm at now with it. But
Hmm.
he's a great editor, and he provided great advice, and he didn't just say this doesn't work. He explained why it didn't work.
Yeah, and
So and that
sorry,
and
go ahead.
that's the difference. Like that's the difference is you can't just say as an editor that it doesn't work. You got to explain why it's not working and why it's not moving the story forward. Because I think if you do that from an editor's perspective, you're giving them a constructive criticism instead of the internet trolls that say, "Oh, this sucks." Well, why? Well, because it does. Like you don't want to have that kind of feedback, right? It's got to be a bit more.
Want some direction
Yeah,
to help you, like, say it's no good. Well, what's wrong with it?
yeah.
Hmm.
Take this away, do it,
As musicians, like Todd and I have come across this before too. Like, we were in a band with 4 writers, and there was a lot of push and pull on stuff. It's the same thing. Well, I just don't like that, or I really like this. Well, I don't like doing this. I like doing that. So tough gig.
And so much of it, yes, so much of it is subjective. And the other thing that I've been finding too, especially now that we took Spud Pub more seriously, and I'm kind of watching a lot more of the channels that writers and editors kind of like hang out in on social media. Um, there is like an epidemic of people not researching who they're hiring and then having bad experiences and then like being like, oh, well, all editors are awful. Editors are useless. That's why I'm using AI to edit. And it's like, well, it's also like a hire beware. Like you
Yeah,
really have to look into who you're hiring, whether or not you're a good fit, if you like their work. And editing, like writing, like a lot of creative stuff is so accessible and becoming more accessible by the day, which don't get me wrong, I fully agree with. I think it should be. But it also means that you have to be a little more cautious when you're hiring somebody to review your work or hiring somebody to work for you in the creative sector.
that's really important because I think a lot of would-be writers, people that are trying to break into the industry or whatever, I got to find an editor, and they find one and they just go with them, but they don't. It's like they feel like if they can find an editor, like there's only one, and but that's not the way it is, obviously. But that's the thought that you have is that like you're getting someone who edits romance novels, for example, and you're writing a high fantasy. Well, I don't think that might not be the best fit for you.
Mhm.
Like you gotta yeah, you gotta pick the right people. That's what
Finding
I
the
say.
right people is hard.
Mhm.
It's
That's
got
the
to be
hard part.
tough. Like I can't even imagine. Like I know I'm gonna have to go for edit, again once I'm done the 10th draft, and I do want to go with a professional editor again, and I'm like nervous about it. Like
Well, you've got the guide now, right? It's not your one for editing purposes.
no, I gotta like it wasn't his style.
Um,
He pointed out like he was a very good editor, and like he said, look, I gave you some tips and blah blah blah. But this, I don't read any of this kind of stuff at all. Like this is not his jam. So um I'm gonna be looking for somebody else for when I'm done this edit.
I was going to
But
say, if you want to take a break in projects, you should consider submitting to us in the fall
yeah,
as we kickstart our next anthology.
in the
absolutely.
fall, okay. I,
I
I
think,
I've got some
sorry, go
short
ahead.
stories all over the place, so
Because, yeah, I think now that we're finished majority of our like summer tours to promote debut, we do need to sit down and just kind of finish our submission package. Is that the right word for it?
I guess figure our shit out is the most layman's term.
But we're hoping to have like submissions open towards the end of October.
how long is that period for people listening? What is that period? Is it like
So
a 2 month, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months? What is that submission period?
I think when we kind of brainstormed it, and we'll come out with formal dates when we get as Jenny said, when we get our shit together. But right now, kind of like the rough category time-wise is going to be for us to open submissions in October, specifically for the next short story anthology. This is both open to writers and artists.
Mm,
I think writers, we were looking for like a 10-page sample, as well as like the equivalent of like a cover letter. Artists were also looking for a small portfolio and kind of cover letter idea. And then that's staying open, I think, towards like the end of December. And then that gives us about like a month or two to review. And then we were talking about announcing who our next set of participants was going to be by February.
You got to put that on the website now.
Well, when
Uh,
we
I'm,
when we
I'm
get our
looking.
shit together.
Well, yeah. Once we have the criteria hammered out, we'll have that on the website and also on all of our socials, basically.
Yes.
Can you
So that,
message me when you get to that point, and I'll share it on my end
Yeah,
yeah, of
absolutely.
course. Thank you.
Okay, I've got a
for sure.
question for both of you, and it's pretty much kind of the same question, but just slightly different. Uh, so so where you are now, like when you first started, say, writing or illustrations and stuff, what prompted you to continue with that? Was this kind of something that just kind of triggered? You saw something at one time and went, "Geez, you know what? I'd like to do that," or that's very interesting to me. Like where did the seed get planted?
I think I want to be really cliche and probably like before double digits in age, I think. Because like I don't know where drawing came from, but it was definitely around by the time I was at least 10, I think. And then just it started out just from copying anime posters. So like I was just copying Inuyasha and Yu Yu Hakusho and Fullmetal Alchemist and cause yeah, I don't know why. It was just pleasurable at that time. It felt good just to copy a drawing and then it grew and it was I think I wanted to draw characters like from the play by post. And then video games, the Final Fantasy was a huge inspiration. I think seeing Square Enix cutscenes, like the cinematic ones, not the in-game ones, like the one that's like fully rendered and not real
Yep.
time. That really was like, wow, that's gorgeous. Like it was definitely Final Fantasy 9 that I was like, okay, this looks really cool. I want to work for Square. And you grow up and you learn that Square Enix is not a company to work for, and you just never want to do that again. But the seed was already there, and I think I originally wanted to be a concept artist, and then I was just never good enough. And animation was safe, and it's the largest department in all of the animation field. So it's like, yeah, let's do animation, put drawing on the side. But no, yeah, I don't know. It just came to be when I was a very wee child.
Okay.
What you?
Um, I guess not to sound too like head in the clouds, but I think sometimes you're just born with it. And like to preface that, not born with talent. That is something that has to be worked at in a lot of cases, mine
What
included.
talent, Shed?
Um, but no, like I remember my parents telling me, and like I think the notebooks are somewhere tucked away at the farm, that even as a kid, before I like knew my letters, before I was in grade school, I would like sit with notebooks and scribble and tell people I was writing stories. So like the drive, the innate drive has always been there. It was just, the talent part is still coming.
It was
So we're,
genetic. We're just there.
Yeah, like it's something I've always wanted to do from the start. Even throughout grade school, everybody told me that I was like such a prolific writer and all this stuff, which is why I initially pursued journalism when I graduated. Um, Life didn't quite turn out that way, but then, like I said, even still, you're either born with the drive or you're not, because somehow I still found my way back here, right?
Mm.
Exactly. Yep. Your passion.
Hmm.
I mean, did you guys have that with music though? Like, I mean, you're both very creative.
Hmm.
Well, our whole family, I mean, I think everybody in our family plays an instrument or sings. So we'd have what they called kitchen parties, I guess we'd call it, out east. So we'd have all our aunts and uncles and cousins and stuff come over. And when we were younger, like most of our aunts and uncles either played an instrument or they sang. So we had one uncle, Uncle Ronnie, we called him Johnny Cash because he'd show up with his little book, what do they call it? Like his music stand. He'd have his book there. He'd bring his acoustic guitar, and then he'd just all night long he'd be singing, and everyone
For
was,
hours.
yeah. I mean, whatever you had, like if you didn't play an instrument, grab some spoons, like whatever, like just just to get into it with everybody. So that was kind of instilled into us like at a very, very early age, and just music in general, and playing music, and because a lot of musicians were in our family, we had access to these instruments, so we could actually pick them up, and play them and say, "Hey, this is pretty cool," and type of thing, and just kind of went from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which instruments do you guys play?
Well, I play guitar mostly. I play in a band right now, but I play bass. Um, but yeah, I've never tried to learn keyboards or drums, and I don't, I can't sing. I can't, walk and chew gum at the same time. So it's not something
On our last album, you actually sang lead on one
yeah,
track.
yeah, but I don't do anything else.
It was
That was
good too.
There you go.
And I play drums and sing. Well, primarily, yeah. I don't know what's the primary of the two, but I do both sometimes at the same time.
That is
But
that is impressive.
That is very
a little bit of piano, although my daughters have now surpassed me at piano. And I kind of played bass. I did an album in, I don't know what it was, 2000 or something. I played, I laid bass on there. It wasn't very good, but yeah, the other two, the drums and singing is the main. I just love writing songs. It's an obsession. But yeah, I wanted to be like Uncle Ronnie. I just wanted to be like Uncle Ronnie. He was like so cool, so confident. He would just step up to the mic and he would just play. And I was like, how are you just it just and he had a big smile on. I think he had a bit of a pompadour too, like Johnny Cash, I think. And didn't he have sideburns? I'm trying to remember now. It was so long ago. But he kind of came off like Johnny Cash. It was pretty cool.
It's like when they say, dance like no one's watching.
Yeah.
He just sang like there was no one, around. Usually when you have people, people have stage fright, or you have people that are around you and you play and you're kind of nervous, and your whole body kind of locks up, and you're not, you're not loose, you're not, type of thing. Where he was, that was natural. That was his natural habitat. He'd just be there. Okay, I'm here. Put the thing up, start playing.
He also used to run around in his underwear too, right? He was a wrestler at one point, Uncle Ronnie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. He was a heel.
yeah.
With
Ronnie
which
Gold.
company?
Back in the day.
Jeez, what company would that have been?
Was that Grand Prix Wrestling or Maritime?
Probably was Grand Prix,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, God, that was before Todd and I were even born, but
Yeah.
like but no, not afraid to like step in front of a wrestling crowd and be a heel, and
Mhm.
then not afraid to pick up like he was like fearless.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know. I always looked up to him.
That's
He's a cool
super
guy.
impressive.
But I mean, there wasn't just him. Like our Uncle Mike, he played with some band in the 70s. Um, we thought it was like Chicago or something, like the band
Yeah.
Chicago, but
Wow.
apparently it wasn't Chicago, but it was like another band at the time, like maybe Blood, Sweat, and Tears, or nobody can confirm the story. And I've asked Uncle Mike, I've texted him a bunch of times, and he's not good with the texting. So I haven't gotten anything back. He hasn't returned my phone calls, so I think I gotta get mom to ask him again.
Well, this is like the 60s, so he was
Yeah.
probably out of it a little bit, maybe.
He was out of it a little bit, yeah. Maybe a
I
lot.
played with these guys. I don't know.
But yeah, like we find out later that, oh yeah, your Aunt Carol used to sing in a band too. And then your Aunt Patsy actually sang, like, why don't you guys tell these stories around the dinner table? Like why do we're finding out, like, when you guys are like really old, that you guys did all this cool stuff. Like, I want to know more, you know?
It's just like a musician factory over there.
I think so, yeah. I'm the least talented of the whole bunch, I think, though.
Well, every family has, like, I mean, even you guys would probably, if you sat down with your family and actually, what was it like back in the day? There's probably a lot of things that you guys don't know about your parents and what they did and how they lived and what interests them back in the day. Like you may know or you may not know, but until you hear stories and then you get that look on your face like, I've never heard this before. Every once in a while when the family gets together and like, oh, really? Even to this day, I think even last weekend I was talking about something and it was like, really? I don't remember that. No one
Yeah.
ever did that. Yeah.
Yeah, your
Pretty cool.
parents are all superstars. So you just, your aunts and uncles are all superstars. You just gotta ask the right questions, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's always
Well,
talent like that in every family.
Well, and I mean, like it's always such a big deal to find out, but for them, it's just them living their lives, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah, there was
I record everything. My grandfather was terrible, but he had the little tape recorder and he watched wrestling. And he'd have his tape recorder and no one could make a sound because I
he's
don't know.
recording.
He was recording, but I don't know why he'd go back and listen to it. I have no idea, but he did that, and I kind of got a little bit of that bug where I had a recorder and I'd walk around and I'd be interviewing the dog or whatever, like when I was younger, like just weird stuff. But yeah, it's weird the when you find out what they used to like and then what you're like, and you kind of go, yeah, I kind of have a bit of that into me too.
Yeah, we record everything. I'm glad we do. There's a couple of times we didn't record something, and it's like, oh, I think that was a good show, or that was a good, and it's like, oh, it's the one we didn't record. I don't know.
Yeah, like if you guys had say kids and you went down like a few generations and they would go like, hey, you know what, my great 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 grandmother had an interview. I've got it on whatever media will be at that point. Who knows? It'll probably be all holograms or who knows.
Holograms.
Some type of virtual reality
That'd be cool.
to bring it up and go, oh yeah, here it is.
Could you imagine, like many generations from now, they refer to YouTube like we refer to vinyl records?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
Wow, that's true, right?
I had to buy a
Yeah.
computer and look on a screen. Wow, that was like everything.
Like, don't you just tap your
yeah,
head and then, like, what's this screen business?
yeah.
What are you talking about?
I love the idea of people referring to like high definition YouTube video as like the epitome of, or like it doesn't sound good unless it's on high def YouTube, just like how we talk about it doesn't sound good unless it's on vinyl.
Yeah. But it's weird now. Now some people are going, oh, it doesn't sound good unless it's on vinyl. People are saying that now. I'm not listening to Spotify. I got the vinyl at home, and you can hear all the ambiance of the room and all this sort of stuff. And people are going back. Whoops, sorry. People are going backwards with that stuff. Like there's even up in Gimli here, there is a record label, and all they do is release cassettes.
I
They don't
think I've heard
release
of them.
what are they called now? We had them on the show.
Is this re-releasing or
No,
anything?
no. They're just releasing like they sign artists and the releases are all on cassette.
Oh, this is new. Okay.
Yeah. Jonas is the guy's name. I can't remember his last name. Icelandic last name. Too handsome of a man. I remember that because he sent me some like promo. I said, "Oh, if you want to use my picture on your website," I'm like, "Okay, fine." I'm like, "You're too pretty, man. Like I can't put those pictures up. People are gonna think that we're doing like thirst trap stuff for a podcast. Trying to get people to come in."
Thirst
Oh,
trap
who's
for
this
Never
cassette
Jonas person?
tapes.
Yeah, but yeah, they do cassette tapes. I'm going up to Gimli. Wait, this weekend, next weekend. I gotta message him and I want to go see your label. I want to go see what's going on. I was hoping he was gonna put our stuff out actually, but anyway.
You could have a limited edition podcast episode on a cassette tape release. That'd be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So do you guys have
Anyway.
anything that you're getting ready for the next KeyCon?
We're actually not sure if we'll be in KeyCon because there is a Vancouver event that is the same weekend, and we're kind of reviewing our con and attendance list, and we're probably going to try and hit up different events than we did this year purely because we technically don't have any new content.
We have new merch, but not new publishing content.
That is right. Jenny has used her infinite source of connections to source bookmarks that we're making. They're bookmarks of our little like potato Spud logo guy.
Oh, nice.
He's super cute. Yeah.
What's the one in Vancouver? Which convention is that?
Oh, it's called VanCaf. It's basically for it's mostly geared towards original content. Obviously some other fan content is part of it as well, but mostly original. A lot of comic, a lot of novels, a lot of just
I just pulled it up. This looks
artwork.
pretty awesome.
It's a huge, like there's 2 basically gymnasiums, just full of creatives. Most of them 90% original work. So you'll see like a lot of original comic books, a lot of original novels, a lot of original like traditionally done artwork or digitally done artworks. Basically like basically it's like a creative orgy.
Nice.
She never knows what's gonna come out of her mouth.
True, honestly. Yep.
No, but yeah, it's like hundreds of creatives, and they all get a booth. And
I think this is why I'm usually in charge of our public correspondence.
it's just
Edit that out.
because
I'll get a message from you later, Jen.
Yeah.
Please edit that part out. It's not appropriate.
it's too much work to self-censor. So I just let her do all the talking. But yeah, no, it's great, and we missed it last year or this year, I should say, because the registration closes like in September. I think it's like end of October or something.
Yeah.
So it's not just for creatives. Like there's guests can come and meet the creatives, right? Like it's not like
it's
an insider festival or anything like
No,
that.
it's open to public.
Yeah, it'd be like a creative, well, to use Jenny's terms, creative orgy trade show.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, that's what it is. And you go there and you buy a bunch of stuff that you basically to support the creatives, and also like you find really cool stuff there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
I've got the website open. I might actually take a peek here.
And
Todd and I need to go on the road at some point. I don't know where we're going.
That's a good start.
Yeah, you should come. We'll see you there.
We were looking at doing Nashville. There's a festival in April, and I think I told Todd about this. Right now, like the cost is like 10 grand for us to go for like 3 days. I'm like, wait a minute.
Don't pay that to go to Mexico.
I know. So
Yeah.
I gotta re-look at the prices, but it's like maybe we need to stay within Canada for our trip.
I mean, if you want to do like book festivals, we actually this year hit up, it's called the Columbus Book Fair, and it's in Columbus, Ohio. And then
Hmm.
this year was their second one they ever had, and what they had 40,000 people
Yeah,
attend.
40,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's this like outdoor book fair. I think there was like almost 200 vendors. Like it was insanely huge. We felt like very small little Canadians going.
A lot of
It
people
was
like, you're from
July.
Canada?
Yeah, I think we were the only, I think there was like one indie author that was Canadian, but outside of that, we were the only Canadian vendor.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Seems
yeah.
very odd.
I mean,
I'm just opening up just to see who they had there. That's pretty cool.
Columbus isn't usually where most out of country people would think to go.
True. It benefited us
Yeah.
because we didn't pay hotel fees because Jenny has an infinite list of connections.
That's awesome.
We strategically pick places to go
Couch
where
surfing.
we have places to stay.
No, that's good. That's smart. That is the band ethic when bands do their little short tours. It's like,
Yeah.
we're gonna go to Calgary. Let's call up Roger. He said there's a couch we can crash on. That's the proper way of touring is having couches to crash on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we're
just
we're
like
too poor for hotels.
I just like to think that we're saving money in like travel and stuff like that to be able to pay our creators on our next project.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're like talking about how much we should compensate and like, hey, we should really like add a little bit more.
I would love to like gradually up our rates so we continue to like stay competitive. I mean, I think we're already
Competitive how?
I don't like small press competitive. I don't know.
We can't afford like Penguin House
Well, no,
competition.
I don't think we'll ever meet like Big Five like territory. But even just like competitive small press payouts would be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like the payouts in podcasting it's I was on Threads. I'm a little obsessed with Threads right now. And there was a conversation about um having guests on people's shows. I wanted to bring this up, and the person said, so like this person has been running their podcast for like 10 years or something. And they said, I just had a guest that I wanted to have on. I thought they'd be very, very interesting. And we had everything set up. And then they sent me an invoice for their appearance on our show. And it was something like $1,000 or whatever. And I've never heard of the person before. Um, and so she asked, like, she goes, "Is this normal?" And there was a whole bunch of people that said, "Well, no, like if you're on the Joe Rogan show, that example, but if you're on the Joe Rogan show, Joe doesn't pay his people, and if you're on, the Conan O'Brien show, like they don't pay, like that's advertising for you and stuff like that." And one person came back and said, there is so much money in podcasting. Why are you not paying your guests? And I'm like, so much money in podcasting? What?
Where?
What planet do you live on? But I think what they all do is they look at Joe Rogan, who's making whatever it is, 12 million a year on his podcast because he signed a deal with Spotify, that we all make. Like, yeah, like I quit my day job 8 years ago when we started this podcast because I knew it'd be huge. No, we don't even break even yet, you
Mhm.
know. So it was just interesting. I was just curious how you feel about, because there's always this push for specifically for artists where, oh, just draw me something and the exposure will be great for you. Just I'm not going to pay you. Like, I'm helping you out by you working for me for free, and like unpaid for commissions and stuff like that. What's your thoughts on the whole artist free
Same with
side of
music.
things?
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
not
personally, I
for
think
it.
it's really predatory.
Yeah.
Like I know, and I think Jenny and I are on the same page here. In previous conversations we've had, I'm pretty sure we're on the same page. We do, like, our bottom line is that we want to pay our creators and we want to pay
Yep.
people who do work for us. Like, none of this pro bono stuff. That being said, um, we are very fortunate in having a really good community that wants to see us succeed. And these are people that have voluntarily slashed their rates for us or voluntarily done favors to help us with startup. So even though we pay them, we're paying at a reduced rate with the
Yep.
intention that as we grow, they'll come with us and we'll be able to pay them better
Yep.
as we're able to put that out. So like it's a mixed bag. Like on one hand, there is some truth to it that things like Spud Publishing and things like we're doing don't get started up unless it has a community to back them. But at the same time, as company owners and as people who want to build a reputation in this industry, I want to pay people and I want to get to a point where we can pay people what they're worth as soon as possible.
Yep.
And I mean, like there are people that I wish we could pay more, and that when we aren't able to, like, help in what way we can, because like there are artists that I've worked with that has done stuff for Spud Pub that is they can charge a lot more. They can certainly charge a lot more.
We certainly should not be able to afford them.
No, we shouldn't. But like there are other areas where we're able to help them out, and at least like being able to trade favors on top of the small amount of monetary compensation we're able to afford. Um, at least it makes us feel a little bit better, but it's not ideal. I would, like Chen said, eventually, hopefully soonish, so buy our book so we can pay people.
That's why I bought it. It's like I get a support. I have to support you. Like you did a good thing. You put a lot of work in people's hands. I gotta pay you. It's like because I know like we've had guests on the show. It's like, oh, we'll comp you a copy of our CD or comp you a copy of our book, and we we get that offered every time. And I always say, well, no, like I'll go buy it so I can listen to it or read it. And I always do that every time. And they're like, well, why are you doing that? I don't understand. And like, but you're like an indie writer or musician, like, couldn't I buy what's $10 to buy someone's CD or whatever, like, or $18 to buy a book. Like it's not that much, but it makes a huge difference. And I think we all should. Like if someone's gonna be on your so I'm saying this to the podcasters, if someone is on your show and you're not getting their stuff, like what are you doing? Like I don't like the free comp stuff. I don't agree with it. I understand why people do it. They give comp the stuff just to get their stuff out, but I think I have a responsibility to buy the stuff. And
And
we only
it's
bring on people we like in music we like and artists we like. So of course I like when I saw you both, like, of course I'm buying the book. Why wouldn't I? I don't know if you guys were gonna comp me, but I would have refused if you had. I don't think that's right, you know.
I think it's people like you that really helps keep us going, because there are a lot of people who are also like, oh, well, that seems kind of expensive, or that's not really like, eh. But like, yeah, honestly, thanks to people like you who are like, yeah, I would love to support you guys. I like the philosophy behind you guys. I like the story, and also interested in what we put out that really, has gotten us this far. Because otherwise, I, I don't think I don't think SpongeBob would be doing this well, to be honest.
I mean, so to put that into perspective, when we created Spud Pub, and even before that, when we had the idea for a debut and started to move forward with it, we were like, oh, this would be like a one-time thing. We'll print like 50 copies and we'll wipe our hands and call it done. Yeah, no, this became far larger than we ever anticipated. Like I know I've said this multiple times. If we were to fail tomorrow and have to liquidate and close our doors, I'd still consider this a success because we far outshot anything we thought we could do. But that being said, like it would be great to continue going. Like, yes, please support us, all of you wonderful listeners.
Yeah,
Support our artists and writers.
go buy a book or submit to us in the
I'm
fall.
gonna break. We're gonna break both of you and this debut the book called Debut in China because that's where our biggest audience is. So look for the sales to come in from China right away.
I'm excited.
I'm here for it. Oh, I guess like that would be the proper time to mention you can purchase it off of our website.
Oh yes.
Our website is spudpub.com. I believe it's also available. Our like third party print on demand service we're using is lulu.com. So they make it
Lulu.com.
available from
Okay.
them as well as I think it's on like Amazon and you can find it on some other international bookstores by virtue of them.
Oh,
And then
nice.
we are currently in the works to get a proper distributor so we can appear in like your everyday bookstores across North America.
Ooh, that's the challenging part. Ooh,
It sure
big hurdle.
is. We were on the desk for Publishing Group Canada for a while, but we just weren't big enough, which fair, I understand. So we're chasing to find a distributor right now. So if there's any distributors listening,
Please pick us up. I promise we'll be good. We're working very hard.
We need to create like Jenny memes, I think, like inappropriate comment memes or something to help promote.
Yeah, people stay for the inappropriateness, I hope.
that'll be our next marketing gimmick is just what'll Jenny say today?
Yeah.
Jenny's outrageous quote of the day.
Yeah,
Stuff
of the
just comes
day.
out. I don't know what to tell you.
Everyone comes back.
So so you have to go on TikTok now because that's that's where you got to go for that kind of stuff.
I can't wait to be rich enough to hire a social media manager. I'm too tired.
I agree.
Yeah.
Social media is so hard. I don't
It
know
is
how you guys
hard.
do it.
I'm
It's-
sure you get 100 offers a day in your email inbox from Charlie 3792
Yes.
from
If you want to
Hungary
increase your
who's
Instagram followers,
oh yeah. I've actually replied to a few of them, uh, just trolling back, I guess. And I think there's a segment coming up on our show where we're going to do something with that. I think
Oh, that'd be fun.
do
Trolling.
something fun or funny. Like we had this one thing that Todd did before. He used to read Trump tweets in a sexy voice. It was awesome. It's the funniest thing ever. But I don't think it's appropriate to even talk about Trump anymore. I don't know. It's kind of spooky times. But anyway,
but for notes, which episodes did that happen in?
I'll have to go back. We have like 500 plus episodes. I don't know.
I mean, as long as you keep it to American leaders and not other countries.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The easy ones. So we've got the website, which is spudpub.com.
Yeah.
Where else can we find you all?
Oh, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
So just look for
LinkedIn.
Spud Bud at all of them.
Spud Pub.
Yeah.
Spud Pub. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
Spud
think-
Pub is
Spud Bud. Spud Bud. I keep
Spud
thinking
Bud is
of
our
Bud.
Discord.
Oh yeah, we also started a Discord recently, which is called Spud Buds. So it fits.
Spud
Yeah.
Buds Suds or something. Isn't that one of those things where you buy a steak and you get a what was the
Spud and Steak.
Yeah, that's it. Spud.
So you have to twist that to include book. What would that be now?
That's not bad. Bud, Spud, and steaks. You get your beer, your potatoes, and your steak, and you get a book. You know, it's
Yeah,
a good
book.
combination.
Are we
Good.
doing fundraiser steak nights now?
I won't say no. That would
I
be
don't know.
actually pretty
I know.
fun.
Baseball teams do it all the time, like the drinking league, baseball teams, like they do stuff like that all the time to raise money. Like, why not? Like, let's think outside the box. Come on.
We just
That
can't-
would be an interesting fundraiser. Like maybe we could start something.
You
Get a
do
bunch
have
of
a
nerds.
quarter cow. I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
Jenny's
Okay.
expecting me to empty my personal freezer for this, I'm thinking.
We gotta save money somehow.
I think that'd be pretty interesting to get a bunch of book nerds like us to go to like a hickish kind of bar, and everyone's got their cowboy hats on, they're listening to their country, And then a bunch of us nerds show up and take the bar over, and we're all holding books in our hands, and we all got extra like 3 or 4 bookmarks in the other hand, and we're all like, "Hey, look what I got!" I don't know, it'd be awesome.
Okay, well now I've found like my goal for summer 2025.
I mean, like, we could do a drunken reading of, our book. And
That is true.
who
Drunken
can
readings
reading
are
of the
pretty
book?
drunken
Who can-
reading. Like I've done drunken reading of fanfics, and it's pretty fun.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that'd be so good.
Like, who does the best drunken reading if they do? That would be a contest.
Yeah.
Todd does
Or sorry, go
Todd does
ahead.
Todd does Pete the cat voice, which I think would be good for these readings.
Oh no.
I was gonna say we could alternatively challenge each of the writers to get trashed and read an excerpt.
Yeah, see? This is like some good fundraising event.
Think outside the box. All right, so we'll cap it off there. I guess that was a good ending. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing this. I apologize it took so long to get you on. Just
No,
we're
honestly, the timing worked out for us because we are finally winding down from all of the traveling and promo stuff that we've been doing. So this worked great, and thanks for having us.
Perfect. This was fun.
So much.
that was fun. I'm just gonna hit stop on the recording.